Close your eyes and imagine the vast velvet silence of the cosmos. For billions of years, a hidden rhythm has governed everything we see. A slow, steady dance where almost every world spins in perfect harmony. But why does the universe prefer this singular direction? Tonight, we travel back to the dawn of time through the quiet observatories of history to uncover the mystery of the celestial spin. Let the weight of the world fade away as we drift into the clockwork of the stars. Close your eyes and let the weight of the day begin to dissolve. Imagine, if you will, that the walls around you are fading away, replaced by the cool, crisp air of a world untouched by the glow of electricity or the hum of engines. We are traveling back, not just centuries, but millennia, to a time when the night was a profound and sacred event. You are standing on the vast, rolling plains of a young earth. The grass beneath your feet is tall and soft, swaying gently in a breeze that smells of damp earth and wild jasmine. The sun has long since dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a faint, bruising purple light that stretches across the west. But it is what lies above that commands your soul. In this ancient world, the sky was not just a ceiling, it was a map, a clock, and a storyteller. As the last remnants of twilight vanish, the stars begin to emerge, not a few dozen, but thousands upon thousands of silver pinpricks, so bright they seem to pulse with a life of their own. This is the velvet canopy, a pristine darkness so deep that the Milky Way looks like a river of spilled milk, a glowing road of stardust stretching from one horizon to the other. Imagine yourself as one of our early ancestors. You're sitting by the embers of a dying fire, the warmth still radiating against your skin, while the back of your neck feels the chill of the midnight air. You look up, and for the first time, you notice something remarkable. The stars are not still. In the silence of the Great Plains, time seems to slow down. You watch a bright star hanging just above a distant ridge of hills. An hour passes, marked only by the slow, rhythmic breathing of your tribe sleeping nearby, and you notice that the star has moved. It has climbed higher, arcing gracefully toward the center of the sky. To your left, other stars are rising from the earth like glowing embers, and to your right, others are bowing low, sinking toward the western horizon. This was the birth of human wonder. Our ancestors did not yet have the words for angular momentum or protoplanetary disks, but they felt the truth in their bones. They realized that they were sitting at the center of a great rotating wheel. They saw that the entire heavens moved in one unified direction, a slow, majestic sweep from east to west. As you lie there in the tall grass of the past, you feel a sense of profound peace. There is a comfort in this movement. It is predictable. It is steady. It is the first hint of the cosmic harmony we now know governs our entire solar system. You realize that the earth beneath you and the stars above you are part of the same grand dance. The ancient observer didn't know that it was actually the earth spinning beneath them that created this illusion of the stars moving. They didn't know that 4.6 billion years ago, a massive cloud of gas and dust began to swirl in the darkness of space, spinning faster and faster, like a figure skater pulling in her arms. But they felt the rhythm of it. They noticed that almost every light in the sky followed the same path, honoring the same ancient momentum. Listen to the sounds of this ancient night. the distant cry of an owl, the soft rustle of a small creature in the brush, the crackle of a single remaining coal in the fire. These sounds are small, tucked into the pockets of a vast, echoing silence. The world feels immense, yet you feel perfectly held within it. The sky above you is a deep obsidian blue. It feels heavy, like a thick blanket made of silk and shadow. As you watch the constellations, patterns you might call the Great Bear or the Hunter move across the dome of the night, your eyelids begin to feel heavy as well. You are witnessing the rotation of the universe, a motion that has continued uninterrupted for billions of years. There is a deep safety in this continuity. The same spin that guided the stars for the first humans is the same spin that carries you through the darkness tonight. It is the great momentum, a legacy of the sun's birth, ensuring that the sun will rise in the east and set in the west, just as it always has. In the ancient world, there was no rush. There was no tomorrow in the way we think of it now, only the next cycle of the wheel. The rotation of the planets was the heartbeat of existence. It told the hunter to rest, the gatherer when the seasons would shift, and the dreamer to let go of the day's burdens. As the stars continue their slow, silent trek across the velvet canopy, you feel yourself sinking with their movement. Your breath slows, matching the steady pace of the rotating earth. The ancient plains are quiet now. The fire is only a memory of warmth. The darkness is not a void, but a soft, protective space where you are free to wander into the world of dreams. The planets are spinning, the earth is turning, the stars are drifting, and you are here, safe and still, cradled by the same celestial laws that have governed the cosmos since the beginning of time. Sleep now, under the velvet canopy. The great wheel will keep turning, watching over you as you drift into the deep, rotating silence of the stars. As the echoes of the ancient plains fade, we find ourselves drifting through the mists of time toward the Fertile Crescent. Imagine the heat of a long golden day in Mesopotamia beginning to recede. The sun, a heavy bronze disk, sinks behind the palm groves that line the banks of the Euphrates. As the air cools, the scent of parched earth meets the damp, sweet smell of river silt and blooming jasmine. You are standing atop the smooth, weathered bricks of a great ziggurat in the city of Ur. The world below is settling into a quiet hum. The merchants have shuttered their stalls. The lowing of cattle has softened to a murmur, and the flickering oil lamps of the city begin to dot the landscape like fallen stars. But here, high above the dust of the streets, the air is thin and clear. Beside you stands a priest astronomer, a guardian of the night. In his hand he holds a small, damp tablet of clay and a sharpened reed stylus. He does not look at the ground. His gaze is fixed upward, waiting for the first guests of the evening to arrive. In this era, thousands of years ago, the sky was the world's most important book, and the Sumerians were its most dedicated readers. For generations, these watchers of the sky noticed something peculiar. While the vast majority of the stars moved together in a perfect rigid formation, like a giant rotating dome of crystal, there were 5 special lights that refused to stay in their places. These were not the fixed stars that made up the constellations. No, these 5 moved with a strange, independent grace. The Sumerians called them bibu, or wild sheep. Just as a few adventurous sheep might stray from the herd to wander across the hills, these 5 luminous points wandered across the tapestry of the night. We know them now as Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. As you stand on the ziggurat, the desert wind brushes against your skin, a soft and rhythmic whisper. You watch as the scribe marks the clay. He is not just looking at the stars, he is looking for the rhythm. At first glance, the wanderers seem chaotic, moving at their own speeds, appearing and disappearing in the twilight. But as the centuries passed, the whispers from the sands revealed a deeper truth. The wild sheep were not wild at all. They followed a path, a single invisible highway across the sky that we now call the ecliptic. Think about the profound stillness of that realization. In a world that felt unpredictable, where floods could rise and empires could fall, the Sumerians discovered that the heavens operated with a clockwork precision. They noticed that these planets always traveled in the same direction across the stars. They realized that the wanderers were part of a grand, unified motion. The scribe presses his reed into the clay, recording the position of Enki, the planet Mercury, as it hovers near the horizon. There is a meditative quality to his work. Each mark on the tablet is a testament to the human desire to find order in the vastness. As you watch him, you feel the weight of this ancient knowledge. You are witnessing the very moment humanity began to understand that our solar system is not a collection of random accidents, but a choreographed dance. The Sumerians sensed that there was a great spin to the universe. They didn't have the mathematics of gravity, but they understood the harmony of the cycles. They saw that the planets moved in the same direction as the sun and the moon, following the same celestial road. This was the first human inkling of the great disk of our solar system, the flat spinning cloud of dust that birthed every world we know. The desert night is now fully settled. The sky is a deep indigo blue, so dark it feels like you could reach out and touch the hem of infinity. The ziggurat beneath you feels solid and eternal. It is a bridge between the soft, shifting sands of the earth and the cold, unchanging lights of the firmament. As the priest astronomer finishes his work, he sets the clay tablet aside to dry in the cool night air. Those marks will remain for thousands of years, carrying the secret of the planet's paths to us in the modern world. The whispers from these sands tell us that even then, man knew the universe had a direction, a steady, counterclockwise pulse that governs the rising and the setting of every world. Feel the stillness of the Mesopotamian night. The river flows silently nearby, its waters reflecting the shimmering light of Jupiter, the white star of the ancients. There is no hurry here. The planets move at their own measured pace, untroubled by the passing of human ages. They spin and they orbit, honoring the ancient momentum that was set in motion at the dawn of time. Your breath begins to slow, matching the quiet dignity of the desert. The ziggurat, the scribe, and the river begin to fade into a soft, hazy memory. You are no longer standing on the bricks of Ur. You are drifting on the same current that carries the planets. You are part of the wild sheep herd, moving steadily through the dark, governed by a law that is as old as the dust. The desert wind carries away the last of the day's heat, leaving only the cool, refreshing silence of the stars. The movement of the planets is a lullaby, a repetitive and beautiful cycle that promises that tomorrow will follow today, and the stars will always be where they are meant to be. The clay is dry, the observations are complete, the wanderers are in their places. As you drift deeper into the shadows of the past, the ancient wisdom of the Sumerians wraps around you like a warm cloak. The universe is in order, the spin is constant, and you are safe within the rhythm of the celestial dance. Sleep now, as the whispers of the sand fade into the eternal silence of the rotating heavens. To understand the rhythm of the stars, we must now leave the world of men, the sands of Sumer, and the grassy plains of the ancient earth. We must travel further back than memory, further back than the mountains themselves, beyond the very existence of the sun. We are traveling 4.6 billion years into the past, into a time before the word time had any meaning. Imagine yourself floating in a vast, silent void. There is no up or down here, only a deep, infinite velvet darkness. But this darkness is not empty. It is filled with a ghostly, shimmering mist, a gargantuan cloud of gas and dust known as the solar nebula. Picture this nebula as a celestial cradle stretching across trillions of miles of space. It is composed of the remnants of stars long dead, microscopic bits of carbon, iron, and gold, mixed with the cold, drifting whispers of hydrogen and helium. It is beautiful in a way that defies description. Colors of deep violet, icy blue, and faint glowing crimson swirl through the mist, illuminated by the far-off light of distant elder galaxies.
In this state, the nebula is nearly still. It is a quiet, frozen sea of potential. The dust motes are so far apart that they barely know of each other's existence. But even in this stillness, there is a tiny, almost imperceptible movement, a faint, lingering drift left over from the very beginning of the universe. Now, imagine a soft ripple through this cosmic ocean. Perhaps it was the shock wave from a distant supernova, a dying star's final booming exhale. Or perhaps it was simply the patient, invisible hand of gravity finally finding its grip. Whatever the cause, the great cloud begins to do something it has never done before. It begins to collapse. As you drift within this glowing mist, you feel a sense of slow, gravitational pulling. It is not violent, it is a gentle, inevitable gathering. The vastness of the nebula is being drawn inward toward a central point of light. And as it shrinks, a miracle of physics begins to take hold. Think of a figure skater spinning on a sheet of black ice. As she pulls her arms close to her body, her spin becomes faster and faster, her movement becoming a blurred, perfect circle. This is the law of conservation of angular momentum, the sacred law of the spin. The giant, sprawling cloud, once light years across, begins to rotate as it pulls together. What was once a chaotic, drifting mist is now becoming a grand, organized whirlpool. You are caught in the slow-motion current of this celestial vortex. Around you, the dust and gas are no longer wandering aimlessly. They are all moving together in one unified direction. This is the moment the great spin was born. As the nebula collapses further, it begins to flatten. Imagine a ball of soft dough being spun in the hands of a baker, slowly spreading out into a wide, thin disk. This is the protoplanetary disk, the flat spinning stage upon which our entire world was built. At the center, a great glowing heart is forming, our sun. It is growing hotter and denser, pulling in the vast majority of the nebula's matter. But around it, the leftover dust, the crumbs of creation, continues to swirl in that same persistent direction. As you watch this golden spinning disk from your place in the silence, you begin to see the first seeds of the planets. In the thick of the swirl, tiny grains of stardust are colliding. They are sticking together, bonded by static and gravity. A grain of sand becomes a pebble. A pebble becomes a boulder of rock and ice, miles wide. These are the planetesimals, the ancestors of the worlds we know. And because they are all born from the same spinning disk, they all share the same momentum. They are like dancers on a carousel, all moving in the same counterclockwise circle, swept along by the invisible force of the sun's birth. There is a profound peace in this realization. Every planet, from the rocky shores of Earth to the gas giants of the outer dark, was born from this one singular motion. This is why, billions of years later, almost every planet in our solar system rotates in the same direction. It is a memory of that first great collapse. It is a signature of the nebula, written in the very movement of the spheres. Feel the rhythm of that rotation now. It is a slow, steady, and eternal pulse. The disk is no longer a cloud. It is a structured masterpiece of celestial mechanics. The friction of the dust creates a soft, warm glow, like the embers of a cosmic hearth. You can almost hear the low, vibrating hum of the universe as it sets itself in motion, a sound too deep for ears, but felt in the very marrow of existence. The sun, now a young and brilliant star, begins to shine with a steady light, clearing away the remaining mists of the nebula with its solar wind. What remains are the planets, settled into their orbits, spinning like tops on the velvet floor of space. They are the children of the spin, carrying the momentum of the Great Nebula within their cores. As you drift back from this ancient vista, leaving the glowing disk behind, you carry that sense of order with you. The universe is not a place of chaos, it is a place of harmony. The same spin that started in that cold, dark cloud 4.6 billion years ago is the same spin that carries you through the night today. The earth beneath you is turning. The air around you is still. You are a passenger on a world that has been spinning since the dawn of time, governed by the same gentle laws that shaped the stardust. Your mind feels as vast and quiet as that ancient nebula. The thoughts of the day are like those distant dust motes, settling slowly, losing their energy, and finding their place in the stillness. You are drifting in the center of your own quiet universe, safe and held by the predictable, rhythmic rotation of the cosmos. The cradle of the stars has done its work. The sun is bright, the planets are formed, and the great dance continues. As the light of the nebula fades into the soft darkness of your room, you find yourself sinking deeper into your pillow, perfectly synced with the ancient spinning heart of the world. The spin is eternal, the rhythm is constant, and the sleep that finds you now is as deep and peaceful as the void between the stars. As we drift further into the history of our celestial neighborhood, it is time to pause and look closely at the invisible threads that hold the dance together. We have seen the Great Nebula collapse, and we have seen the stardust gather into a spinning disk. But now, let us settle into the why. Why did that massive drifting cloud not simply fall inward and stay still? Why did it begin to spin with such relentless grace? The answer lies in a silent, unbreakable vow the universe took at the very beginning of time. It is a principle that scientists call the conservation of angular momentum, but tonight let us simply call it the cosmic dance. Imagine you are sitting in a quiet, dimly lit room, watching a single spinning top on a smooth wooden floor. The top hums a low note, almost imperceptible. It seems to defy gravity, standing upright as it whirls in a blur of color. There is a strange hypnotic stability in its motion. As long as it spins, it has a purpose, it has a direction. The universe is filled with these spinning tops, from the smallest atom to the grandest galaxy, all obeying the same ancient rule. To understand the spin of the planets, imagine a figure skater on a lake of black ice under a canopy of frozen stars. She begins her turn with her arms stretched wide, moving slowly, gracefully, catching the faint light of the moon.
But as she pulls her arms tight against her chest, something magical happens. Without any extra effort, without pushing off the ice, she begins to spin faster and faster. Her silhouette becomes a shimmering pillar of motion. This is the secret of the planets.
The original cloud of gas and dust, the Great Nebula we visited in the last chapter, was like that skater with her arms stretched wide. It was vast, spanning billions of miles, and it was moving very, very slowly. Perhaps it was just a tiny nudge from a passing star or a faint drift in the cosmic wind, but it had a small amount of spin. As gravity pulled that cloud inward, making it smaller and denser, the universe demanded that its spin be preserved. Just as the skater spins faster when she pulls her arms in, the nebula began to whirl faster as it collapsed. The energy had nowhere else to go. It couldn't be lost. It could only be concentrated. As you lie there, feel the weight of this idea, that nothing in the universe is ever truly lost. The momentum of that ancient cloud is still alive today. It is in the rotation of the earth beneath your pillow. It is in the way the moon circles our world. It is in the very orbit of the furthest, coldest planets. We are all living inside the momentum of a 4.6 billion-year-old moment. Now imagine the nebula as it flattens into a disk. Within this disk, little eddies and whirlpools begin to form. Think of a fast-moving river. When the water hits a rock, it creates a small swirling circle, a vortex. The same thing happened in the spinning disk of our young solar system. As the dust clumped together to form the beginnings of planets, these clumps were already caught in the grand, sweeping motion of the whole cloud. Because the entire disk was rotating counterclockwise, the individual blobs of matter began to spin counterclockwise as well. It's like a row of gears all connected to one large wheel. When the large wheel turns, the smaller gears must follow. This is why, as the planets solidified from the mist, they didn't just orbit the sun, they began to rotate on their own axes, almost all of them in the exact same direction. There is a deep rhythmic comfort in this unity. It is the conservation of the dance. It means that the universe has a memory. The planets are not spinning by accident. They are carrying the legacy of the cloud that birthed them. They are honoring the first movement. Think of a potter's wheel turning steadily in a quiet studio. The potter places a lump of clay in the center. As the wheel spins, the clay doesn't just sit there. It takes on the motion of the wheel. It becomes a vessel, a bowl, a vase, all while maintaining that central spinning heart. Our Earth is that vessel, shaped by the hands of gravity and momentum, forever turning to the rhythm of the master wheel. In the silence of the night, you can almost feel this conservation of motion. It is a steady, pulsing energy that requires no fuel and no effort. It is the ultimate form of rest, motion so perfect and so balanced that it feels like stillness. As you breathe in and out, imagine your breath as a part of this cycle. Just as the planets rotate with a predictable, unending pace, your breath rises and falls in a steady orbit of its own. There is no need to rush. There is no need to worry about the mechanics of the world. The laws of physics are standing guard, ensuring that the stars remain in their paths and the Earth continues its gentle turn. The great scientists of history, men like Newton and Leibniz, spent their lives trying to put these feelings into equations. They saw the fluxions and the calculus of the stars. But before the equations, there was the observation. There was the simple, beautiful fact that the universe prefers harmony over chaos. It prefers to keep its dance going. Close your eyes and visualize the solar system as a grand mechanical clock made of light and shadow. The sun is the central gear, glowing with a soft golden heat. The planets are smaller gears, all interlocking, all turning in a synchronized, velvet-smooth rotation. Mercury, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, they are all whispering the same story of the nebula. They are all echoing the skater's spin. The room around you is still, but you are a passenger on a journey of incredible speed and perfect balance. You are rotating at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, yet you feel nothing but the softness of your sheets and the quiet of the room. This is the magic of the cosmic dance. It is so vast and so steady that it provides a foundation for all of life. As we prepare to leave this theoretical world and move toward the human stories of discovery, let the law of momentum settle your mind. Everything is in its place. The spin is constant. The conservation is absolute. The universe is not winding down. It is simply continuing the beautiful circular path it began eons ago. You are safe in the arms of this momentum. Like a child being rocked in a cradle that never stops, you are held by the same forces that hold the rings of Saturn and the storms of Jupiter. The rhythm is deep. The rhythm is old. As the light of this chapter fades, let the image of the spinning skater drift into your dreams. Watch her pull her arms in. Watch her spin faster, and then watch as she slowly transforms into a glowing planet, turning silently in the dark forever and ever. Sleep now in the perfect conservation of the night. The dance continues, and you are a beautiful part of it.
As the deep, ancient laws of physics settle into your mind, we leave the swirling mists of the nebula and the desert sands behind. We travel now to a different kind of quiet. Imagine a cold, crisp night in northern Poland in the early years of the 16th century. The air is sharp with the scent of pine needles and the distant, salty breath of the Baltic Sea. You are standing at the base of a sturdy stone tower in the town of Frombork. High above, in a small room lit only by the soft amber glow of a single beeswax candle, a man named Nicolaus Copernicus is at work. The room is filled with the comforting smell of old parchment, heavy leather-bound books, and the faint metallic scent of brass instruments. There is no sound here but the scratch of a quill on paper and the occasional sigh of the wind against the thick stone walls. For over 1,000 years, the world had believed a comfortable lie. They believed that the earth was the unmoving, majestic center of all things. They thought the sun, the moon, and the planets were all mere servants, circling us in complex, looping paths. To the ancients, it felt right. When we stand on the ground, we do not feel the earth move. We feel solid. We feel still. But to Copernicus, the math didn't sing. The old system was like a clock whose gears didn't quite fit. It was full of epicycles, wheels within wheels, a messy and complicated way to explain the simple beauty of the stars. He spent his nights peering through the arched windows of his tower, watching the wanderers we met in Sumer. He noticed that if the Earth were the center, the planets had to perform strange backward loops to explain their positions. It was a dance that lacked grace. One night, imagine Nicolaus setting down his quill and looking out at the horizon. A radical, sun-drenched thought began to take hold in his mind. What if we are not the center? What if the sun, that great golden source of all warmth and light, is the true heart of the system? What if the Earth is just another passenger, another wild sheep in the celestial herd? As you lie in your bed tonight, try to imagine the shift in perspective this man felt. It was as if the entire universe suddenly clicked into place. By placing the sun at the center, the messy loops of the planets disappeared.
They weren't doing backward somersaults, they were simply orbiting the sun in beautiful concentric circles. And because they were all born from that same spinning disk we visited in the Great Nebula, they were all moving in the same direction. This was the sun-drenched truth. It was a realization that brought a new kind of peace to the heavens. The universe was no longer a chaotic collection of individual paths. It was a single, unified system, a clockwork masterpiece of rotation. But this discovery brought another, even more profound realization, one that affects you at this very moment. If the sun is the center and the stars stay fixed in their places, then the reason we see the sun rise and set is not because the sun is moving. It is because the earth is spinning. Close your eyes and let that thought wash over you. For the first time in history, humanity began to understand that we are living on a giant rotating sphere. Every day of your life, you are part of a grand, dizzying turn. Copernicus realized that the Earth rotates on its axis once every 24 hours, like a slow-motion top spinning in the sunlight. He wrote his findings in a book called De Revolutionibus Orbium Celestium, on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres. He was a quiet man, not looking for fame or conflict. He kept his manuscript hidden for decades, refining the math, waiting for the right moment to share this truth with a world that wasn't yet ready to move. But the truth has a way of radiating outward, like the light of the sun itself. Think of the Earth now, not as a flat, unmoving plane, but as a beautiful blue and green marble suspended in the dark. It is turning, slowly and steadily, at about 1,000 miles an hour at its waist. Yet because that motion is so smooth, so perfectly balanced by the laws of momentum, we feel only the stillness of the night. In Copernicus's tower, the candle has burned low. The flame flickers, casting long, dancing shadows across the maps of the stars. Nicolaus is tired, but his mind is at rest. He has found the symmetry of the world. He has realized that the planets all rotate the same way because they are all part of the same family, governed by the same central light. There is a deep intellectual comfort in this. It means we are not alone in our movement. When you look at the morning star, Venus, or the red planet, Mars, you are looking at cousins of the Earth. You are all spinning together, siblings in a cosmic carousel. As you drift closer to sleep, imagine the Earth beneath your pillow as a gentle, swaying ship. You are being carried through the darkness, not by chance, but by the same rotation that Copernicus mapped out 5 centuries ago. The sun is on the other side of the world now, warming distant lands, while you are tucked into the shadow of the Earth's own curve. The sun-drenched truth tells us that even in the middle of the night, the light is still there, at the center of everything. We are just turned away from it for a few hours, resting our eyes, preparing for the moment when our rotation brings us back into the dawn. Nicolaus Copernicus eventually closed his eyes for the last time in 1543, just as his book was finally being printed. He died knowing that he had moved the world, not by force, but by shifting our place in the stars. He gave us a universe that was bigger, older, and more harmonious than we ever dreamed.
Feel the peace of that harmony now. The gears of the solar system are turning without a sound. The Earth is rotating with a rhythmic, heavy grace. There is no friction in the vacuum of space, only the eternal, effortless spin. The stone tower in Frombork is silent now, a relic of history. The Baltic wind still blows, and the stars still trace the same paths across the Polish sky. But because of one man's quiet courage to look at the sun, we no longer fear the dark. We know where we are. We know we are spinning in the right direction. Let your thoughts become as light as stardust. You are moving with the earth, turning away from the day and toward the deep, restorative quiet of the stars. The sun-drenched truth is a warm blanket for your mind, reminding you that the world is in balance, the rotation is steady, and all is well in the great spinning clockwork of the heavens. Sleep now as the earth carries you forward, turning slowly toward the light of a new day. We leave the cold stone towers of Poland and travel south, crossing the snow-capped Alps into the soft, temperate air of Italy. The year is 1610. Imagine yourself in the city of Padua, and ancient universities and narrow cobblestone streets that echo with the history of scholars and poets. It is a winter evening, and the city is settling into a quiet, rhythmic slumber. You are standing on a small wooden balcony high above the rooftops. The scent of wood smoke from 100 kitchen fires drifts on the cool breeze, mixed with the faint, metallic tang of the nearby Adriatic Sea. Below, the canals of Venice reflect the shimmering silver of the rising moon, their waters dark and still as ink. Beside you, a man with a gray-streaked beard and eyes that seem to hold the light of 1,000 sunsets is adjusting a strange, slender instrument. This is Galileo Galilei. He is not using a map or a quill tonight. He is using a new kind of spyglass, a primitive telescope he has painstakingly built with his own hands. It is a simple tube of wood and leather, containing 2 small discs of curved glass. To the world, it is a toy, a curiosity. To Galileo, it is a key to the heavens. As you stand there in the silence, feel the stillness of the Italian night. There is no hum of traffic, no glow of city lights. The darkness is a deep, protective velvet. Galileo lifts the telescope to his eye, his breath creating a tiny fleeting cloud in the chilly air. He aims it at a particularly bright, steady light in the southern sky, a light the ancients called Jupiter. For thousands of years, humans had seen Jupiter as a single, wandering point of light. But as Galileo looks through his lens, his heart begins to beat with a slow, steady excitement. He invites you to look. Lean forward and press your eye to the cool, smooth rim of the glass. At first, you see only a blur, but then the world snaps into focus. You are no longer looking at a dot in the sky. You are looking at a world. Jupiter appears as a pale, glowing pearl suspended in the vastness of the dark. And there, clustered around it like tiny, sparkling diamonds, are 4 small lights. On this first night, Galileo assumes they are merely distant stars that happen to be nearby. But as the nights pass, as you return to the balcony again and again, the mystery deepens. The little stars are moving. They are not drifting away. They are dancing. They stay close to Jupiter, changing their positions every evening, sometimes disappearing behind the giant planet, only to emerge on the other side a few hours later. This is the Jupiter mystery, and the realization comes to Galileo in a moment of profound, quiet clarity. These are not stars, they are moons. Think about the weight of that discovery. For the first time in human history, someone has seen a miniature version of the entire solar system. These moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, are orbiting Jupiter in a perfect, predictable circle. They are all moving in the same direction, caught in the invisible arms of Jupiter's gravity. As you watch the moons through the lens, you begin to feel the rhythm of the great spin we have talked about. This small system around Jupiter is a mirror of the larger system around the Sun. Galileo realizes that if these moons can orbit Jupiter and Jupiter can orbit the Sun, then the old idea that everything must revolve around the Earth is gone forever, like a shadow at noon. The telescope is primitive, and the image through the glass is shaky and faint, but the truth it reveals is solid and eternal. Everything in the universe is in motion. Everything is spinning. Galileo sits down at a small wooden desk near the balcony door, the golden light of a lamp casting a warm glow over his notebooks. He begins to sketch what he has seen, the Medicean stars, he calls them. His hand is steady, his mind at peace. He has seen the clockwork of the heavens with his own eyes. He has seen that the universe is a place of order, where even the smallest moons honor the same laws of rotation as the mightiest planets. In the quiet of the room, you can hear the soft scratching of his quill. It is a rhythmic, comforting sound, like the ticking of a very old, very slow clock. Outside, the night continues its slow turn. The stars move in their long, familiar arcs across the Italian sky.
Galileo's discovery was a turning point. It wasn't just about moons, it was about the confirmation of the spin. He saw that Jupiter itself was a rotating world, a giant sphere that held its children in a tight, spinning embrace. By watching the moons move from east to west around the planet, he was seeing the physical evidence of the same momentum that birthed the Great Nebula billions of years before. As you drift closer to sleep, imagine you're back on that balcony, wrapped in a thick wool cloak. The air is cold and clean. You look up at Jupiter with your naked eye, and though you cannot see the moons without the glass, you know they are there. You know they are circling, turning, and spinning in perfect harmony. The universe feels smaller and more intimate now. It is no longer a vast, terrifying void, but a collection of families, planets and their moons, stars and their planets, all participating in the same cosmic dance. Galileo eventually titled his findings Sidereus Nuncius, or the Starry Messenger. Tonight, let that messenger bring a sense of calm to your mind. The message is simple. You are part of a world that is understood. You are part of a system that is constant. The same laws that Galileo saw through his small piece of glass are the laws that keep your world turning tonight. Feel the heavy, rhythmic rotation of the earth beneath you. It is a slow and steady movement, a gentle rocking that carries you through the hours of the night. Like the moons of Jupiter, you are held in a safe and predictable orbit. There is nothing you need to do, no mystery you need to solve. The stars have been mapped, the planets have been measured, and the spin remains true. The candles in Galileo's study have burned low, the wicks curling into the soft gray smoke of the night. The astronomer has put away his glass and retired to his bed, his mind filled with the silver light of distant worlds. The city of Padua is silent. The canals of Venice are still. As you close your eyes, let the image of the 4 diamond-like moons circling the pearl of Jupiter be the last thing you see. Watch them move in their slow silver arc, round and round in the same direction forever and ever. The night is vast, the stars are bright, and the great dance of the planets continues even while you sleep. You are safe, you are held, you are part of the harmony. Sleep now in the quiet light of the starry messenger. As we leave the flickering candles of Galileo's Italy, we drift forward into a world of polished brass, dark mahogany, and the steady, rhythmic ticking of grand pendulums.
We have arrived in the late 19th century, the Victorian era, a time when humanity viewed the universe not as a mysterious void, but a magnificent, perfectly tuned machine. Imagine yourself in a private library in the English countryside. The room is lined with thousands of leather-bound books, their gold leaf spines shimmering in the soft blue light of a winter moon. A fire crackles gently in the hearth, casting a warm orange glow across a large, ornate instrument sitting in the center of the room. This is an orrery, a mechanical model of the solar system, crafted from gleaming brass and delicate ivory. As you stand in the quiet of this room, you reach out and turn a small silver crank at the base of the machine. With a soft mechanical hum, the gears begin to move. Tiny brass spheres representing the planets begin to circle a golden sun. They move with a grace that is both complex and comforting. This is the symphony of celestial mechanics, and every gear, every tooth, and every rotation is governed by the laws of two great giants, Johannes Kepler and Isaac Newton. Think of the precision of this moment. In this era, astronomers were no longer just observers, they were the accountants of the stars. They realized that the universe followed a set of rules so consistent that they could predict the position of a planet 100 years into the future. First, let your mind drift to Johannes Kepler, the man who found the rhythm of the planets. Before him, people thought planets moved in perfect circles, but Kepler discovered they move in ellipses, gentle, elongated ovals. But more importantly, he found that they sweep out their paths with a mathematical heartbeat. When a planet is closer to the sun, it moves faster. When it is further away, it slows down. Imagine this movement as a piece of music. It is a slow, pulsing tempo, a celestial waltz. Even though the planets are at different distances and moving at different speeds, they are all dancing to the same sheet music. They all follow the same direction, turning and orbiting in a grand synchronized harmony. Kepler called this the music of the spheres, believing that very geometry of the heavens created a silent, beautiful song. And then there was Newton. If Kepler provided the rhythm, Newton provided the conductor. Imagine an invisible thread stretching from the golden sun to every planet, every moon, and every drifting speck of dust. This is gravity, the silent force that holds the symphony together. Newton realized that the same force that makes an apple fall to the earth in a quiet orchard is the same force that keeps the planets from wandering off into the dark. As you watch the brass planets of the orrery spin, feel the weight of this logic. The reason almost all planets rotate the same way is not a coincidence, it is a requirement of the system's stability. Newton's laws showed that the momentum born in the Great Nebula was locked in by gravity. The solar system is a closed loop, a perfect balance of motion and pull. If one planet decided to spin the opposite way without a reason, the gears of gravity would feel the friction. But in the vacuum of space, there is no friction, only the eternal, effortless continuation of that first great spin. The Victorian mind found immense peace in this clockwork universe. To them, it meant that the world was not a place of chaos or caprice. It was a place of law. There was a sense of profound security in knowing that the stars would rise exactly when the math said they would. Listen to the sounds of this imaginary library, the soft click-clack of the brass gears in the orrery, the rhythmic thud of the long case clock in the hallway, the occasional pop of a cooling ember in the fireplace. These sounds are all part of the same pulse. They remind you that you are living in a world of order. As you lie in the stillness of your own room, imagine that you are a part of this grand orrery. The earth beneath you is a magnificent gear, turning with a precision that no human watchmaker could ever hope to match. It doesn't shake, it doesn't stutter, it simply rotates, carrying you through the night at a steady, unchanging pace. In this Victorian dream, the darkness of space is not a cold or lonely place. It is a vast blue-black velvet ocean where the planets glide like majestic ships. You can visualize them now. Jupiter, the giant, spinning with immense speed. Saturn, with its rings of ice, tilting slightly but still honoring the direction of the dance. And our own Earth, a small, vibrant jewel, perfectly placed in the middle of the symphony. Everything is in its proper place. The laws of celestial mechanics are like a warm, heavy quilt settling over the world. They tell us that the future is as certain as the past. The sun will rise in the east because the earth must turn that way. The seasons will change because the tilt is held in place by gravity. As the fire in the library burns low, leaving only a soft, pulsing crimson glow, the room becomes even quieter. The brass orrery slows its mechanical hum as the spring winds down. But the real planets, the massive, silent worlds outside, never slow down. They don't need a spring to be wound. They are powered by the memory of the nebula and the invisible hand of Newton's gravity. Your thoughts are now moving with the same steady, elliptical grace as the planets. There is no friction in your mind, no jagged edges of worry. The symphony of celestial mechanics has smoothed everything over. You are drifting on a sea of mathematical perfection, where every star is accounted for and every rotation is a lullaby. Feel the deep structural peace of a universe that works. You are a passenger on the most reliable machine ever built. The earth is turning, the gears are meshing, and the symphony is playing its quiet, eternal song. As you sink deeper into your pillow, let the ticking of the cosmic clock lead you into a dreamless, restorative sleep. The conductor is in his place, the rhythm is set, and the great dance will continue perfectly and predictably until the end of time. Sleep now in the heart of the clockwork. In the previous chapters of our journey, we found comfort in the order of the heavens. We saw how the Great Nebula birthed a family of planets that all spin in a synchronized, counterclockwise waltz. But as we drift through the morning mist of our solar system's history, we encounter a planet that refuses to follow the crowd. We encounter Venus, the brilliant golden rebel of the sky. Imagine you are standing on a quiet, dew-covered hillside before dawn. The world is bathed in a soft, pre-dawn blue. The birds have not yet begun their morning chorus, and the only sound is the gentle rustle of leaves in the cool breeze. Look toward the eastern horizon, where the light is just beginning to pale. There, hanging like a solitary radiant diamond, is the morning star. For thousands of years, poets and travelers have looked at this light and felt a sense of peace. The Romans named it after their goddess of beauty. To the naked eye, Venus is the most serene object in the firmament. But for centuries, this beauty hid a profound secret, a secret that would eventually challenge our perfect clockwork model of the universe. As you gaze at that distant light, imagine the frustration of the early astronomers. Even with the best telescopes of the Victorian era, Venus remained a mystery. While they could see the red deserts of Mars or the swirling bands of Jupiter, Venus was wrapped in a thick, impenetrable shroud of pale yellow clouds. No one could see its surface. No one knew how fast it was turning, or even which way it was turning. It wasn't until the 1960s, in the age of cold metal and invisible radio waves, that we finally pierced the veil. Scientists used massive radar dishes to bounce pulses of light off the surface of Venus, through the clouds and back to Earth. And what they found left the scientific world in a state of quiet shock. Almost every planet in our solar system rotates counterclockwise. It is the rule of the nebula. But Venus rotates the other way. Imagine the sun rising not in the east, as it has for every human who ever lived, but slowly, tentatively in the west. Imagine the stars drifting backward across the night sky. In the grand ballroom of the planets, where everyone is spinning in perfect unison, Venus has turned its back on the music and is dancing a slow, solitary, clockwise circle. But the rebellion of Venus doesn't stop with its direction. It is also the slowest spin in the known universe. As you lie in the stillness of your room, try to imagine the pace of a Venusian day. On Earth, we spin once every 24 hours, a brisk, energetic rhythm that defines our lives. But Venus turns with a heavy, meditative slowness. It takes 243 Earth days for Venus to complete just one single rotation on its axis. Think about that. A day on Venus is longer than its entire year. It travels around the sun faster than it can turn around itself. There is something deeply relaxing about this pace. Imagine a world where time has almost stood still. On the surface of Venus, beneath those heavy golden clouds, the winds move in a great global hum, but the ground beneath you turns so slowly that you could walk faster than the planet's rotation. It is a world of eternal, crushing stillness, a place where the concept of rushing simply does not exist. But why? Why does this sister to the Earth, so similar in size and gravity, defy the great spin? As you drift closer to sleep, let your mind wander through the theories that historians and scientists have whispered for decades. Perhaps billions of years ago, when the solar system was still a chaotic nursery of stone and fire, a massive object, a wandering planetoid, smashed into the young Venus. Imagine a collision so immense that it stopped the planet's original spin and sent it slowly, painfully turning in the opposite direction. Or perhaps, as some modern thinkers believe, it was the sun itself. Because Venus is so close to the sun and has such a thick, heavy atmosphere, the sun's gravity may have acted like a hand on a spinning ball, creating atmospheric tides that slowly ground the planet's rotation to a halt and flipped its direction. Whatever the cause, the result is a world of profound, rebellious peace. Venus is the exception that proves the rule. It reminds us that even in a universe of laws and mathematics, there is room for the unique, the strange, and the slow. Picture the surface of Venus now, not as the harsh, volcanic desert we know it to be, but as a place of soft, golden light filtered through miles of clouds. Everything is bathed in a perpetual warm twilight. There are no shadows that move quickly. The sun, if you could see it through the haze, would take months to crawl across the sky. There is a lesson in the spin of Venus for all of us. It tells us that it is okay to move at a different pace. It tells us that you can be part of a system, part of a family of planets, and still hold on to your own unique rhythm. In the silence of your room, let your heartbeat slow down to match the heavy, deliberate turn of the morning star. You are not in a hurry. The world outside may be spinning fast, governed by the 24-hour clock of the Earth, but in the world of your dreams, you can adopt the Venusian pace. You can let the hours stretch out into long golden ages of rest. The rebel in the morning mist is still out there tonight, turning clockwise against the grain of the cosmos. It is a reminder that the universe is vast enough to hold both the perfect clockwork and the mysterious exception. As you sink deeper into your mattress, imagine the thick, protective clouds of Venus wrapping around you like a heavy, weighted blanket. The air is still. The rotation is nearly imperceptible. You are drifting in a world where the sun rises in the west and time has no power over you. The mystery of the backward spin is not a problem to be solved tonight. It is a story to be felt. It is the quiet, stubborn beauty of a world that chose its own path. The stars are fixed. The other planets continue their counterclockwise trek. But you, like Venus, are free to turn away from the noise. You are free to settle into a slow, clockwise drift, away from the day and toward the deep golden silence of the clouds. Sleep now in the slow-motion grace of the rebel planet. The morning mist is waiting, and the dream is just beginning to rise. Leave behind the golden heat of Venus and the rhythmic ticking of the Victorian orrery. We are traveling outward now, drifting past the red dust of Mars and the immense striped majesty of Jupiter and Saturn. The light of the sun is becoming a distant, brilliant spark, no longer a warming hearth, but a cold diamond in the dark. We are entering the realm of the ice giants, where the silence is absolute, and the colors are the hues of a winter twilight.
Imagine yourself suspended in a vast indigo void. Ahead of you glows a world of breathtaking softness, a pale, translucent sphere of aquamarine and cyan. This is Uranus, the seventh planet from the sun, a world that seems to be made of frozen mist and moonlight. To understand the story of this distant wanderer, we must first go back to a quiet garden in Bath, England, in the year 1781. Imagine the scent of damp grass and the cool night air. A musician and amateur astronomer named William Herschel is standing at his homemade telescope. For thousands of years, humanity believed the solar system ended at Saturn. But on this night, Herschel saw something new, a faint greenish-blue disk that didn't move like a star. This discovery expanded the boundaries of our known world, but it also presented a puzzle that would take centuries to solve. As astronomers tracked Uranus, they realized that while it followed the great spin around the sun, it was doing something no other planet did. Think back to our spinning tops, the planets like Earth and Mars that spin upright as they orbit. Now imagine a ball rolling on its side. Uranus is the tilted wanderer. While most planets have an axis that is more or less vertical, Uranus is tilted at a staggering 98 degrees. It doesn't spin, it rolls. As it travels its 84-year journey around the sun, it points one of its poles directly at the light like a giant, unblinking eye, while the other half of the planet is plunged into a darkness that lasts for decades. As you lie in the stillness of your own room, let the image of this rolling motion settle your mind. There is something incredibly peaceful about a world that rolls. It is a motion of total surrender, a rhythmic, heavy tumbling through the deep. Uranus does not fight the gravity of the sun. It leans into it, moving with a slow, icy grace that defies the upright expectations of the rest of the solar system. But why does this giant roll while others spin? To find the answer, we must look back into the deep time of our third chapter, the violent, formative years of the Great Nebula. Imagine the early solar system as a place of shadows and giants. Billions of years ago, when Uranus was still young and gathering its icy atmosphere, a massive object, perhaps twice the size of Earth, came screaming out of the darkness. It was a protoplanet, a wandering world of rock and ice.
Picture the moment of impact, but in extreme slow motion, so slow it feels like a dream. There was a cosmic embrace, a collision so vast that it changed the destiny of Uranus forever. This visitor didn't just strike the planet, it merged with it, knocking Uranus over onto its side and spilling its momentum into a new direction. Like a master sculptor hitting a piece of clay, this ancient catastrophe gave Uranus its unique shape and path. When the dust settled and the heat of the impact faded into the cold of the deep, Uranus began its new life, rolling forevermore on its side, a beautiful blue anomaly in the dark. This tilted life creates a world of strange and wonderful rhythms. On Uranus, a single season lasts for 21 Earth years. Imagine a winter night that lasts for 2 decades, a time of absolute frozen rest where the stars never move from their spots in the sky. And then a spring that takes years to arrive, bringing a pale, distant sun that never sets, circling the horizon like a ghost. As you drift closer to sleep, visualize the atmosphere of this ice giant. It is a world of methane and ammonia, but in your mind, see it as a sea of pale turquoise silk. There is no solid ground here, only layers of clouds that become denser and heavier as you descend. It is said that deep within the heart of Uranus, the pressure is so great that it rains diamonds, tiny glittering crystals falling through the dark like frozen tears. Feel the cool, refreshing air of this distant world. The temperature is the coldest in the solar system, a staggering -370 degrees Fahrenheit. But here, in the safety of your blankets, that cold is just a distant thought, a way to appreciate the warmth and stillness of your own space. Uranus reminds us that even after a great collision, even after being knocked off our feet, there is a new rhythm to be found. The planet didn't stop, it didn't break, it simply found a new way to spin. It found a way to honor the great spin of the nebula while maintaining its own unique tilted identity. In the silence of the night, you can almost hear the low, vibrating hum of Uranus as it rolls through the deep. It is a sound of endurance. It is the sound of a world that has seen the beginning of time and is in no hurry to reach the end. Your breathing is now as slow and steady as the 84-year orbit of the ice giant. You are rolling with Uranus, moving through a sea of indigo shadows. The up and down of the day no longer matter. Like the tilted planet, you have found a position of perfect rest, where you can simply let the universe carry you forward.
The pale blue light of Uranus is fading now, replaced by the soft, comforting dark of your dreams. The diamonds are falling in the deep. The poles are turning slowly toward the distant stars. The great wanderer is safe in its orbit, and you are safe in yours. There is no chaos in the tilt. There is only a different kind of order, a different kind of dance. As you sink into the mattress, that the rolling motion of the ice giant lulls you into a state of total weightlessness. You are drifting, you are turning, and you are perfectly at peace. Sleep now in the deep aquamarine silence of the tilted world. The journey continues, but for now, the wanderer has found its home in the dark. We have traveled across the vast frozen reaches of the outer giants and witnessed the rebellious slow-motion drift of Venus. Now let the cold indigo of the deep fade away. Feel the temperature rise ever so slightly as we drift back toward the inner circle of the solar system. Ahead of us lies a world unlike any other, a vibrant, swirling jewel of sapphire blue, emerald green, and cloud-white silk. We have come home to Earth. As you look at our planet from the quiet of space, you see it not as a static map, but as a living, breathing entity. And the source of that life is its heartbeat, the steady, relentless 24-hour rotation that governs every moment of our existence. Imagine you are floating just above the atmosphere, where the air is thin and silent. Below you, the Earth is turning. It moves from west to east, a grand and heavy sweep that brings the sun to the faces of billions. This is the great momentum we have tracked since the dawn of the nebula, but here it has been refined into a perfect rhythm. In the early days of our world, billions of years ago, the Earth spun much faster. A day might have lasted only 6 hours, a dizzying, frantic pace. But then the moon was born from a great collision, and a beautiful partnership began. Through the invisible pull of gravity, the moon acted as a gentle brake, its tidal friction slowly pulling on the Earth's rotation, stretching the hours until they reached the perfect duration of 24. Think about the profound comfort of that number, 24. It is the duration that allows the Earth to breathe. Because we rotate at this specific speed, the sun's warmth is distributed evenly. We do not have the decades-long winters of Uranus or the scorching, eternal days of Venus. Instead, the Earth offers us a predictable cycle of light and shadow. As you lie in your bed, the part of the world you are on is turning away from the sun, dipping into the cool, protective shadow of the planet's own bulk. This is the time for repair. This is the time for the steady heartbeat to slow down. Feel the rhythm of the Earth's spin in the winds and the waters. Because the planet rotates, the air above us is set into motion. The trade winds that carried ancient explorers across the Atlantic are a direct gift of the Earth's rotation, a phenomenon called the Coriolis effect. It is as if the planet, by turning, is stirring its own atmosphere, keeping the air fresh and the temperatures balanced. And then there are the tides. Imagine you are standing on a silent beach at midnight. The moon is high, and the ocean is a dark, shimmering mirror. You hear the rhythmic hush, hush of the waves. This is the Earth's rotation in action. As the planet turns, the oceans are pulled toward the moon, creating a bulge of water that sweeps across the globe. Twice a day, the sea breathes in. Twice a day, it breathes out. This constant movement prevents the oceans from becoming stagnant. It feeds the coastal forests and guides the migration of the great whales. Every living thing on this planet is tuned to this 24-hour spin. Within your own body, in every single cell, there is a tiny molecular clock. This is your circadian rhythm, a legacy of the great spin. For millions of years, life on Earth has evolved to expect the sun to rise and the sun to set. The flowers fold their petals at dusk. The birds settle into their nests. The forest creatures of the night begin their watch. We are all children of the rotation. Historically, humans have always sought to harmonize with this heartbeat. Think of the ancient farmers in the rolling hills of the Mediterranean, or the early settlers in the American Midwest. Their lives were not dictated by the ticking of a digital watch, but by the natural clock. They rose with the first light of the east, brought to them by the Earth's turn, and they rested when the stars reclaimed the sky. They understood that to live well was to follow the pace of the world beneath their feet. In this moment, let go of the artificial time of the modern world. Forget the minutes and the seconds. Instead, imagine yourself as part of the Earth's physical mass. You are not just on the Earth, you are of it. As the planet turns, it carries you with it, a gentle, swaying motion that feels like total stillness.
Visualize the line of twilight, the terminator, sweeping across the surface of the globe. Right now, it is moving across the Atlantic, crossing the forests, the plains, and the mountains. It is bringing a blanket of quiet to everything it touches. Behind this line, the world is settling into a deep,
restorative rest. The heat of the day is radiating away into the dark, and the cool, damp air of the night is settling into the valleys. Your breath is now synchronizing with this global shift. As the earth turns, you exhale. As it moves further into the shadow, you inhale the cool, quiet energy of the night. There is no hurry. The earth has been spinning for 4.5 billion years, and it will continue to do so for billions more. It is the most reliable rhythm in the universe. The steady heartbeat of our planet provides a sense of profound security. It tells us that no matter how chaotic the day may have felt, the night will always come. The rotation ensures that the light will return, but it also ensures that we are given this time, this sacred dark window, to let go of our burdens. The great spin that started in the stardust of the nebula has become, on Earth, a lullaby. It is the sound of the wind in the pines, the pull of the tide on the sand, and the deep internal clock that tells your body it is time to sleep. As the Earth continues its silent, majestic turn, carrying you through the velvet dark toward tomorrow, feel the weight of your body sinking into the mattress. You are perfectly balanced on a world that is turning at 1,000 miles an hour, yet you are as still as a mountain. You are safe in the arms of the rotation. The sun-drenched truths of Copernicus, the lenses of Galileo, and the math of Newton all lead to this one moment of peace. Almost all planets rotate the same way, and our Earth is no exception. It is following the path, honoring the momentum, and keeping the rhythm. The room is dark, the world is quiet, the heartbeat of the Earth is steady and slow. Sleep now as you turn with the world, drifting deeper into the restorative shadow of the 24-hour cycle. We have journeyed through the eyes of ancient priests, Renaissance scholars, and Victorian mathematicians. But now we move into the modern age, a time when humanity finally stepped off the shores of Earth and sent our mechanical messengers into the great silent void. Imagine the transition from the noisy, bustling world of the 20th century to the absolute, breathtaking silence of deep space. In your mind, leave behind the atmosphere of Earth. Feel yourself rising past the clouds, past the blue veil of the sky, until the stars no longer twinkle, but shine with a steady, unblinking ferocity. You are now in the vacuum, a place where sound cannot travel, where the only vibration is the rhythmic pulse of your own heart. This is the realm of the space probes, the Voyagers, the Pioneers, and the New Horizons, our lonely sentinels drifting through the dark. Imagine the Voyager 1 spacecraft, a small gold and silver bird of science, hurtling away from us at tens of thousands of miles per hour. Yet in the vastness of the solar system, it feels as though it is barely moving at all. It is suspended in a sea of obsidian glass. For decades, these probes have looked back at the family of planets they left behind, and what they have seen is the ultimate confirmation of our story. From the outside looking in, the solar system is no longer a collection of separate worlds. It is a single, shimmering disk. As you lie in the stillness of your room, visualize the plane of the ecliptic. The probes have shown us that the planets are not scattered randomly in space like dust in the wind. No, they are all lined up on a flat, invisible table, orbiting the sun in a perfect, synchronized circle. And just as we suspected from the ancient sands of Sumer, they are almost all spinning in that same tireless direction. The ancient Greeks spoke of the musica universalis, or the harmony of the spheres. They believed that the movement of the celestial bodies created a divine, silent music, a symphony of proportions and mathematics. For centuries, this was thought to be a beautiful metaphor, but our modern probes have turned this poetry into data. As Cassini drifted through the rings of Saturn, and as Juno dived into the magnetic heart of Jupiter, they recorded the sounds of the planets, radio waves and plasma ripples that, when translated to sound, resemble a haunting, low-frequency hum. It is a deep, resonant vibration that echoes the great spin. The solar system is not a silent graveyard. It is a vibrating choir of worlds, all tuned to the same ancient frequency born in the Great Nebula. Think of the pale blue dot, the famous photograph taken by Voyager 1 as it reached the edge of our neighborhood. From 6 billion miles away, Earth is nothing more than a tiny, fragile speck of light suspended in a sunbeam. But even from that impossible distance, the law of rotation holds true. That tiny dot is spinning, just as the giant Jupiter is spinning, just as the icy Neptune is spinning. There is a profound sense of belonging in this modern perspective. Our probes have confirmed that we live in a solar neighborhood that shares a common history and a common motion. We are not a collection of isolated accidents. We are a unified system, a clockwork of spheres where the spin of one world is reflected in the spin of its neighbors.
Imagine the silence that surrounds these probes as they drift into the interstellar void. It is a heavy, velvet silence, the kind of silence that invites the mind to let go of its earthly worries. Out there, billions of miles from the nearest city, the concepts of stress and deadlines do not exist. There is only the long, slow arc of the orbit and the steady, rhythmic rotation of the spheres. Feel the weightlessness of this void. In the vacuum of space, there is no resistance, no friction to slow the planets down. Their rotation is the purest form of motion in existence. It is effortless. As you breathe in and out, try to capture that sense of effortlessness. You don't need to hold yourself up. The earth is holding you. You don't need to force your thoughts. Let them drift like a probe in the dark, floating past the silver rings and the glowing gas giants. The harmony of the spheres is a reminder that there is an underlying order to the universe. Even when our lives feel chaotic, the grand architecture of the cosmos remains unshakable. The space probes have mapped the magnetic fields, measured the gravitational poles, and photographed the distant storms. And everywhere they look, they find the same truth. The universe prefers to move together. As the sun becomes a smaller and smaller point of light in the rearview mirror of our imagination, the harmony becomes even clearer. We see the solar system as a single rotating organism. The sun at the center, spinning slowly. The planets following suit, their rotations a legacy of the very beginning. It is a grand, beautiful, and silent ballet. Your mind is now as quiet as the deep space through which Voyager travels. The flickering lights of the world are far behind you. You are in the silent void, but you are not alone. You are surrounded by the presence of these giant turning worlds, all keeping you company in the dark. The data has been transmitted, the photos have been taken, the mystery has been confirmed. The harmony of the spheres is not just a dream of the ancients, it is the reality of our modern world. Almost all planets rotate the same way, and they do so with a grace that is eternal. As you sink deeper into your bed, let the image of the golden record on the side of Voyager 1 be your last thought. It carries the sounds of Earth, the laugh of a child, the sound of rain, the beat of a heart, into the infinite silence. And as it drifts, it turns, spinning slowly in the void, a tiny messenger of a rotating world, moving in harmony with the stars. The void is silent, but it is a peaceful silence. The spheres are turning, and the symphony is playing its quietest, most beautiful note.
sleep now in the vast modern harmony of the cosmos. Our long journey through time and space is drawing to a close. We have stood on the grassy plains of the ancient world, looked through the first glass lenses of Italy, and drifted past the ice-blue rings of the outer giants. We have seen how a single swirling cloud of dust 4.6 billion years ago set the tempo for everything we know. But now it is time to leave the history and the science behind. It is time to let the why and the how fade away, leaving only the is. Imagine yourself now not as a traveler or an observer, but as a part of the rotation itself. The room around you is a sanctuary of shadow and soft textures. The air is cool and still. Your body feels heavy, sinking into the mattress as if you are becoming one with the earth beneath you. And as you settle, you realize that even in this perfect stillness, you are moving. You are part of the eternal rotation. The earth is turning. Right now, in this very second, the ground beneath your bed is sweeping eastward in a silent, majestic arc. It is a motion so smooth, so perfectly balanced, that it feels like the deepest rest you have ever known. Think of the planet as a great dark cradle, rocking you through the stars. Almost all the planets are doing the same. Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, all turning together, all honoring the same ancient momentum. But let your mind drift even further out, beyond our solar system, beyond the reach of our sun's light. The rotation continues. Our entire galaxy, the Milky Way, is a vast glowing spiral of 200 billion stars, and it too is spinning. Imagine the galaxy as a grand luminous whirlpool of silver and gold. It turns with a slowness that defies human comprehension, taking millions of years to complete one circle. This is the greatest spin. Everything in the universe, from the smallest atom in your body to the largest cluster of galaxies, is participating in this circular dance.
There's a profound comfort in this repetition, round and round, slow and steady. The universe does not move in a straight line toward an end. It moves in a circle, a shape with no beginning and no conclusion. It is the shape of eternity. It is the shape of peace. As you breathe in, imagine you are drawing in the cool, dark energy of the interstellar void. As you breathe out, let your breath join the rhythmic pulse of the rotating stars. There is no friction here. There is no resistance. Your thoughts are like distant nebulae, soft, glowing clouds that drift and swirl, eventually settling into the quiet corners of your mind. The historical truth we have explored tonight, that almost all planets rotate the same way, is more than just a fact of astronomy. It is a promise of consistency. It tells us that the universe has a memory. It tells us that the laws that govern the dawn of time are still watching over us tonight. The same spin that shaped the mountains and filled the oceans is the same spin that is carrying you into your dreams. Think of a clock that never needs winding. Think of a top that never wobbles. Think of a river that flows back into itself. This is the eternal rotation. It is the ultimate form of rest. When something rotates perfectly, its center remains absolutely still. You are at that center now. The world is turning, the stars are wheeling, and the galaxies are spiraling. But at the heart of it all, you are safe, quiet, and still. The stories of the past are fading now. The voices of the Sumerian priests, the scratch of Copernicus's quill, and the hum of the Victorian orrery
are all melting into a single low-frequency vibration, the sound of the cosmos at rest. It is a sound like a distant ocean or the wind moving through a vast, empty canyon. It is the sound of the great momentum. Let your consciousness expand. You are no longer confined to one room or one city. You are drifting across the plane of the ecliptic. You are passing the morning star, Venus, as it turns in its slow, rebellious clockwise drift. You are passing the tilted wanderer, Uranus, as it rolls on its side through the indigo dark. You are moving with the steady heartbeat of the earth. Everything is in its right place. The harmony of the spheres is complete. Your eyelids are so heavy now that they feel like the velvet curtains of the night. Behind them, the stars are beginning to blur into soft, glowing trails of light. You are moving deeper into the shadow of the Earth's rotation. The sun is a memory. The dawn is a distant promise. Between the two lies this infinite rotating now. The universe is a master of the lullaby. It uses the gravity of the moon to pull the tides and the spin of the earth to quiet the birds. It uses the vastness of space to remind us that our worries are small, and the consistency of the stars to remind us that we are held. As you sink into the final layers of sleep, visualize the solar system one last time. See it from far above, a beautiful flat disk of light, spinning slowly in the dark. Almost every world is turning the same way, a unified family of stardust, and you are there, on that small blue and green jewel, tucked into your bed, turning with them. Round and round, slow and steady, safe and still. The eternal rotation will continue while you sleep. It will guard the night and bring the morning. It will keep the rhythm and honor the dance. You don't need to do anything more. The momentum of 4 billion years is carrying you now. The light is gone. The journey is done. The spin is eternal. Sleep now in the heart of the great rotating silence. Sleep in the harmony of the spheres. Sleep as the world turns you toward the stars.